Solve the following quadratic inequality by using a number line. Okay, so we need to solve for x. That's our first mission here. But unfortunately, we have these fractions that are making things a bit difficult. So the first thing I think we should do is let's get rid of these fractions by multiplying everything by 2. So we'll multiply this all by 2. That's going to give us x squared minus 6x minus 1. And we're going to set this equal to 0 so we can perform algebra. Okay, so now we have this in a more familiar format. However, we're still kind of stuck because we can't factor this like we normally would. So we're going to have to use the quadratic equation. And that is that x is equal to negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so let's go ahead and start filling these in. So this is our A, this is our B, this is our C. So B is negative 6, and we need to use negative B, so that's going to end up being just positive 6 as the negatives cancel out. Then B squared is negative 6 squared minus 4. A is just 1, and C is negative 1. And then 2 times a is 2 times 1, so I'll just put 2. All right, 6 plus or minus. Negative 6 squared is 36. 4 minus 4ac, well, this is actually going to become positive because we have a negative here and a negative here. This is just going to be 4. And that's all over 2. And so we have 40 over 2. Now we could stop here because we're just going to punch this into a calculator, and if you did stop here, that's totally fine. I'm just going to simplify this one step further and say that we can pull out a 4 just like that, right? It's still the same question. And then we can basically pull that 4 out of the root, making it a 2. And this will just give us the most simplified version, because then we can now cross out all these 2's basically, and we'll be left with 3 plus or minus root 10. Okay, so now we want to find our x values here, so we're just going to punch this in the calculator, 3 plus root 10 and 3 minus root 10. And that's going to give us negative 0.16227 and also 6.16227. Okay, so now we have our roots of this system, and we can go ahead basically and solve this inequality using a number line. So what we can basically find from these roots is picture the x-axis, and these are where the parabola is going to intersect with our x-axis, right? The second thing to note is that looking at this here, we can tell that this parabola is positive, which means the vertex is going to be on the bottom. So essentially, if we were to visualize this parabola, oh, that is a bad drawing, then it's going to look something, wow, that's even worse. It's going to look something like that. Okay, I'm just going to leave it now. Just to visualize, and what we're looking is we want to figure out basically where this parabola is less or is greater than 0. So if our parabola is this line, we want to know where it's greater than 0. Well, this is 0 right here, and so it's going to be greater than 0 when the parabola is greater than 6 and when it's less than 0.16, negative 0.16 that is. So if we want to draw that on a number line, we're going to have 6 here, negative 0.16 here, and then essentially we're just going to draw those lines basically saying, okay, from 6 to infinity and negative 0.16 to negative infinity, that is where our inequality is satisfied. And finally, the last distinction we have to make is that we're saying greater than or equal to, so we use that solid circle. Okay, So that's all for this one. I hope that makes sense, and thank you for watching. Bye now.